This is the only way.
MGM Plus hit show From has been garnering quite a bit of popularity since its premiere, and as fans eagerly await the drop of Season 3 in September 2024, they also have so many questions they hope the newest season will be able to address. From revolves around an eerie town that seemingly no one can escape once they have entered, which is also plagued by mysterious monsters that come out at night to hunt the residents. No one knows how they got into the town or how to get out of it and go back to their actual lives. They are stuck in this town to fend for themselves and not get hunted by the human-looking creatures that prey at night. However, that is not all. There are many more mysteries to the town than just the monsters and its odd location. One of the most haunting of these is the appearance of a small boy who can only be seen by certain people. He has no name or identity as of now and is simply referred to as the Boy in White. He is probably not a human entity, but he appears to be somewhat kind and benevolent. Moreover, this young boy knows a lot of things about the town that most of its residents are unaware of. Who or what is this boy? Is he a messiah for the residents who will lead them back to the real world? Or is he a part of a more sinister plan being operated by the evil forces at work within the town? In today's video, let us take a look at this character from the show and try to understand what role he plays in From, as well as explore some of the popular theories surrounding the Boy in White. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Backstory of the Boy in White. The showrunners have not yet portrayed a lot of information regarding the Boy in White, so there is very little to go on about. No one knows who he is, how old he is, how long he has been in the town, or what his ultimate motivations are. He came into the picture for the first time when Victor had seen him back in the 1970s, on one day when two cars had arrived in the town. It is assumed that he had just made an appearance back then and not conveyed anything to Victor, and we do not know if Victor was the only person who was able to see him at the time. The second time the Boy in White made an appearance was the night after Victor and his sister Eloise were asked by their mother Miranda to stay hidden, but Eloise did not listen to the instructions and chased after her mother. Victor was too scared to even move, so he stayed hidden. But as the day broke out, he got out of his hiding place and saw that everyone in the town had been butchered by the creatures. He was apparently the sole survivor. The Boy in White was seen sitting on a somewhat dilapidated merry-go-round, smiling at Victor. The boy is dressed in a white shirt and shorts, and sometimes appears with a German Shepherd. However, it is not clear if the dog belongs to him since it makes appearances, without the boy next to it as well. The second person who sees the Boy in White is Ethan Matthews. After his family stumbles into the town and eventually settles in at the colony house, Ethan first sees the mysterious boy standing outside, making a shushing gesture at him. Later, he again sees the same boy outside his window, and this time, he tells Victor about the same. The older man appears to be very intrigued by this, and he draws a rough picture of the Boy in White to help Ethan identify if it really is him. When Ethan answers in the affirmative, Victor says that he believed the Boy in White was nothing but a dream, but he was wrong. He then discloses to the younger boy how the Boy in White had first made an appearance to Victor many years ago, on the day two cars arrived at the town, just as it happened with the Matthews family's arrival. Victor tells Ethan he has been in the town longer than anyone else, but he gets defensive and angry when Ethan asks what happened to his parents. Ethan then reveals to Victor that his baby brother Thomas had passed away recently, and their family was still mourning the loss. He tells Victor that they are friends, and later Victor spots the Boy in White, and the duo follows him into the forest. The Boy in White makes another appearance when the colony house is under attack. Victor helps Julie Matthews escape from the house, but the creatures are still out, so they are not yet safe. This is when Victor notices the Boy in White and follows him into the forest, where they finally go into a faraway tree and escape. Tabitha Matthews tries to dig a hole in the basement, and the floor collapses, making her land in what appears to be a cave. Victor finds her there and says that the Boy in White told him she would come, and he was supposed to wait for her. He also reveals that the caves are where the creatures sleep during the day, and they are not safe. Boyd and Sarah also encounter the Boy in White when they try to escape the forest. After having been bitten by a spider, Boyd collapses from the pain and tells Sarah to leave him so that one of them can make it back for good. However, Sarah refuses to leave him alone, and that is when the Boy in White appears and tells Sarah that the town is angry. He helps them get to a faraway tree and escape. Is he the first person trapped in the town? So far, the boy in white mostly appeared when people were in danger, and he helped them get to safety. However, things change in the second season. When Tabitha encounters him at the top of the tower, the boy tells her that he is really sorry, but there is no other way. Before Tabitha can understand what he meant, he pushes her out the window, and she appears to fall to the ground. However, when she wakes up, she finds herself in a hospital, back in the normal world. Since he has not made a lot of appearances in the show, there is a lot of intrigue about his character. However, fans believe he is an integral part to the storyline, and there is much more to him than just being sort of a vision or an entity that only appears before certain people. Firstly, his very appearance is in stark contrast with the entire setting of the show. He is a young, seemingly cheerful child, dressed in white, who appears to live in the forest, or at least outside the colony house, and other buildings that are safe. In the world of From, where the town is nothing short of a terrifying place teeming with sinister monsters everyone tries to hide from, what is this little boy doing all by himself outside? Moreover, he appears to be somewhat unfazed in the face of immense violence, which is seen when he appears before Victor after the creatures have killed everyone in the night. The boy in white smiles gleefully while enjoying a ride on the merry-go-round, as bodies are strewn on the ground next to him. His seemingly innocent nature and goodwill appear to be too good to be true sometimes, and can be a red flag. He appears friendly, helps people out when they are in danger, and sometimes even beckons them to follow him into the forest. What if his benevolence is simply a facade, and he is trying to make the residents of the town trust him so that he can finally be their undoing? His innocence can be a mask because, while he is the proverbial savior in white, there is something immensely unsettling about his smiling outward looks. Just like how the town in From seems like a vintage place but hides terrifying truths underneath that facade, the boy in white could very well be putting on an elaborate show. He appears mostly to children, such as Ethan and Victor, who may have aged physically, but still retain a lot of childlike abilities due to the trauma of losing his family, and once makes an appearance before Sarah, who is in no way a reliable character. The one time he appears before Tabitha is just before he pushes her to what appears to be her death, then turns out to be an escape from the town and its horrors. It is too much of a puzzle to try and understand his underlying intentions. On one hand, we have him helping people avoid the creatures and get to safety. And on the other hand, that visual of him gleefully smiling and waving at Victor while dead bodies surround him. The two sides are very contrasting, and at least it is clear that the boy in white is no guardian angel. There is also a lot of mystery regarding the question of his origins and whether he is the first person to have been trapped in the town. A section of fans believe that he was among the first people to step foot into the unfortunate place. He must have met a somewhat untimely end at the hands of the creatures, or in some other way, and as a result, his spirit lives on and helps the other residents of the town live on without being hurt or killed. In that regard, he could be a savior figure who is simply trying to make sure that people do not get killed. But if that is the case, then how come he is unable to prevent the deaths of the people who still end up dying? Does he have a system where he deems only certain people to be worthy of living and does not interfere in the deaths of the others he believes should die anyway? There is a theory that the boy in white died after arriving at the town, but not at the hands of the monsters. As most people, his death was not natural by any means, but not caused by supernatural forces either, which technically makes him someone who died a normal death in the context of the town. And this is why he is able to live on and appear at will before people, because he was not tainted by the creatures in his death. Again, we have no way of knowing if this is the truth, because very little has been portrayed about the boy in white, much less his past. However, some other fans believe that he is not benevolent at all, and the town is probably a manifestation of his own. It's monsters and evil beings and magical trees, all of which sound very much like the curious imagination of a child. It is possible that he conceived the entire town, and all the people are his pawns, and he is playing an elaborate game of survival. Whether he is feeding off the imagination of the people stuck in the town, or trying to help them escape, is still a complete mystery. But it is obvious that there is so much more to his character than meets the eye. It is possible that he brings people into the town at will, and since they can no longer get out, at least without his intervention, as was the case with Tabitha, he uses them in any manner he wishes. The monsters in the show could just be the older people he had brought into the town, who somehow did not appeal to him, and thus became corrupted victims that now serve to haunt the rest of the people who come into the town. The nature of the monsters and their pasts, the unknown rules of the town, everything is a question mark, and so is the entire conversation around the boy in white. Vox Smith, who plays the boy in white, said in an interview that he is not sure about the truth of the character he portrays, whether it is a ghost or a human. He did say that some people believe he is the devil, and he takes the shape and appearance of a young boy to manipulate the people of the town into believing that he is good. However, he does not know who he is, and there can be any number of possibilities to his character. Most of the theories surrounding the boy in white are generally positive, so fans believe that he is a force of the good in the town amidst the evil. He acts as a guide for the residents, and appears before them only when they have no other means of survival than relying on his help. While this does not explain why he appears only before selected people, it can be assumed that he knows that some people need to be sacrificed for the greater good, so that the rest of the people can go back to their homes and lives. There is also a belief among fans that the boy in white only appears before certain people because he chooses to appear before the ones who would take him seriously and not dismiss him. Victor had seen him as a child, as Ethan did later, and children are generally more accepting of things they see around them because they lack the forces for critical thinking at that age. Victor may have grown up, but as we mentioned earlier, he retains the curiosity and imagination of a child, allowing him to be able to see the boy in white. Moreover, some fans believe that despite what could appear as his nonchalance, the boy in white was actually trying to cheer up Victor and keep him company after everyone in the town had died at the hands of the creatures all those years ago. And that is why he was smiling and riding the merry-go-round. Sarah, who already communicates with the voices from the forest, is also more likely to believe the boy in white and not doubt his intentions, and hence he appears before her too. Tabitha too had visions of children being trapped in the tower and was more likely to believe the boy. Let's say that Jim Matthews came across the boy in white. He would simply disregard the boy and consider him innately evil, as opposed to the selected people who would believe in his benevolence. It is quite possible that the boy in white is the opposite of the sinister forces prevailing in the town, and he serves to guide people back to their old lives. He could be the keeper of the tower, who wants to protect the residents from the evil forces at work. The biggest support to this theory is when he pushes Tabitha from the top of the tower and apologizes to her, which leads her to come back to the real world mysteriously. It is possible that he tried to apologize just to tell her that the only way she could go back to her old life was if he killed her in the From universe. However, it can also be apologizing to her because he knew she would make it out of the town, but her family would not, at least not right away. However, the fact that it was his direct intervention that led to Tabitha escaping the town seems to point to the fact that he knows how to get the residents to safety, but they would have to believe him for that. It is not clear whether everyone can get back to the real world after falling off the top of the tower, or if the process is different for different people. But what is confirmed is that there exists a way out of the hellish town, and the boy in white knows about it. Some fans believe that the boy in white is a manifestation of Thomas Matthews, the baby who passed away in the Matthews family. This is why two people from the family are able to see him, Ethan and Tabitha. However, this is not very substantiated because we know the boy in white appeared before Victor as early as the 1970s, so he cannot exactly be a manifestation of a child who was born more than 40 years later. There is also a belief among some fans that the boy in white is symbolic of Norse mythology, as he represents the creature known as Mylingar. This could be incarnations of the souls of children who would roam around the earth until they would find someone to bury their bodies in a proper manner. While we are not very certain how this theory ties to the rest of the show, it would certainly be quite interesting to see how the showrunners tie the threads to the ultimate identity of the boy in white and his intentions with the residents of the town, whether they are benevolent or nefarious. Marvelous verdict. As we said earlier, there is not a lot to go about explaining who the boy in white really is and what he wants, because he has appeared only in certain scenes throughout the 2 seasons of From. However, it is certain that he has a very important role to play. In the 2nd season of the show, he barely appears, and when he finally does, his action leads to what could potentially be the first instance of a person making their way out of the town and going back to the real world, relatively unharmed. The boy in white could very well be the ultimate villain of the show, balancing the strings behind the scenes and luring people with a false sense of hope. However, he could also be the only good thing in a world plagued with horrors and nightmarish monsters, trying to help the people get back home. Now that we know Season 3 is approaching, it will be very interesting to see if the showrunners finally shed some light on the character of the boy in white and give us a perspective on what he wants to achieve, with the trailer for the new season bringing in even more deadly problems for the town to face. How will the boy in white act? And will he be able to send someone else back home in the upcoming season? Stay tuned for more updates on From, and let us know your theories and predictions about the boy in white in the comments below. Until then, make sure to check out other marvelous videos from our channel. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
This is the only way.